Hello, and welcome to Bea Creative Podcast. I'm Elena Gilpin. You can find me at Elena M. Gilpin on Instagram or Bea Creative on Ravelry. I'm starting a Bea Creative Facebook page, but it's not like totally done yet. And I think I'll just keep my personal Instagram as my podcast affiliate Instagram for now. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you for those who watched my last video, and for any of you who want to keep updated or be updated when my videos come out, please like, subscribe. I'm sure I'll be asking you guys questions throughout the video, so feel free to comment. I would love for you guys to reach out either in the comments or directly messaging me, and I will get back to each and every one of you. So yeah, welcome. I'm in a new spot today. I'm trying out a couple things. My chair last time was super squeaky, which should tell you why it's called like squeaky chairs. I think the last episode was. So I'm just trying out this new kind of nook in my office sunroom. I'm literally like, I don't know, 5 feet away from my desk. So we'll see how this sun does. I know it's like, we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so let's get into it. I'm just gonna have a drink of my coffee. This is part of my acquisitions. I got this coffee mug at Target. It's from the Heart and Hand. I think that's the Chip and Joanna Gaines. And it says, I love you. And I actually have a pot, like a really small pot that is gray and it has the same etching in it, and I love it. I actually need to repot a plant in it. You can kind of see behind me, I'm trying to do the plant thing. None of my house plants are really surviving, except for I have one succulent that doesn't need any work at all and really likes me to stay away from it. And so she survives, but the rest of the guys need to stay outside. And I'll do a video, I think in my next video, I'll show you guys some of my outdoor plants and my planters. But one of the ones that I really like, one of the things I'm doing with my plants that I really like is, you can kind of see right there, I'm using mugs that are just like really obscenely large that I'm just not gonna, I don't need to drink that much coffee at any given time. So I use a porcelain drill bit and I drill holes in the bottom of it, and I use it as a planter for some of my starters, or like if I have a clipping, particularly of, and I'll just show you this little house plant. This is the succulent I was telling you about. I have no idea like what it's, I don't know what it's called, but I found it in my yard. She spreads all over the place, and my the people that lived here before, I think they had one potted that they left. Also, I got one of these, I do fundraising events, that's my job, and we gave out little tiny, I mean, like, let me see if I can put this on here, like this is how big the little pot was of starter succulents, and I raised it from that little tiny thing to this huge plant now, and it's the same one. So I'm really not sure if this came from my yard or if it came from a clipping of that one. But basically all you have to do is pull a leaf off, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to hurt her, and then you just stick it in the soil or lay it on top, and it will sprout little buds, and they look like little rosettes. They're so cute. And then you can see right here, I know this isn't like a planting one, but everybody right now in a COVID world is into plants. So it sprouts these, and these are its roots. So like right here, you can kind of see it's sprouting roots and looking for something to stick into. So I clip those when they're up too far, but she's great. So when I get some of the leaves off once in a while, I'll stick it in like a mug like that. And actually, that's not what's in there, but in the pot next to it, which way am I going? That way, had like 6 leaves, and now they're all like really cute little plants. Okay, tangent. You come here for tangents, I think. Sorry about my hair. I went on a walk this morning, and so it's kind of a mess. It's very hot and humid in Tampa, Florida. If you guys didn't know, that's where I live. It's like, I don't know, 90 degrees already, and it's early in the morning. So yeah, let's get into finished objects. I was gonna wear it my finished object, but like I said, I went for a walk this morning. I have a lot to do today, so I didn't want to like change and then whatever. I'm in like working clothes, like work at my house clothes. Also, before I get into finished objects, I love this shirt so much. This is an oldie but a goodie. If you guys don't know, I love the My Favorite Murder podcast, and this is Murderino. And basically Murderinos are those of us who just dive on into that true crime life. I listen to several true crime podcasts, which when I get to the end and start talking a little bit about recommendations, I'll talk about it. But my dear friend Sarah Paulson gave this to me as a gift for Christmas a few years ago, and it's just still one of my favorite t-shirts. You can find it on Etsy. I'm pretty sure I could make it on my Cricut. It would take some time to like get into the mountains because it's like an upper and lower situation. Can you see? But yeah, so if any of you are interested in that, I'll link it, but then also you can reach out to me via comment, and if you want me to make you one, I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out for like a very low cost, like just cost of materials. Back to finished objects. Okay. Ooh, my Anker Summer Shirt is done. You guys, I made this in the extra large. I wanted a good amount of positive ease. I think I've started and finished this in about 2.5 weeks. And it's blocked and it's cute. You can tell my gauge was a little off in certain places, but it's not super noticeable. I did make some modifications to the pattern. I cropped it, number one. So it sits, I can kind of stand up so you can see, it sits like right about at the top of like where my waistband would sit. I really want to wear it with skirts and dresses, which I think I mentioned in the podcast last week. And I actually did wear it this weekend when my mom and I went out shopping. And I wore it with a skirt. I will insert a picture, maybe, fingers crossed if I can figure that out, of me wearing it. But you can also find it on my Ravelry page, Bea Creative. I have entered it in with several photos and the notes. My mom and I did a little photo shoot of it because I did this really fun feature on the side. Because I'm a very small person, but I'm also not so small in some places, and it's just not flattering for me to have a straight across. I like a lot better when it has a little bit of that little gap opening. And I made it just maybe like 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter in the front, so that it had a little longer in the back. And I really like that. I do mix it up once in a while, so I need to maybe sew like a little, probably not like a tag, but maybe just use some colored thread and just kind of mark that place. But yeah, here it is. She's awesome. The color is not, so I knit this, for those of you who didn't watch last week, in We Are the Knitters cotton wool. I have it right here. And it's 100% Peruvian Pima cotton, and the color is natural. I will say that when I blocked it, some of the color definitely came off. Like I noticed it in the water, and I just blocked it with Tufts Woolen wool wash, which I don't know if you're supposed to do that with cotton, but that's all I know how to do because I've only blocked like 1 or 2 other objects. But it's like a little yellowy. Like I don't know that it's gonna go great with my skin tone, so I might end up giving it to my mom. She and I already kind of talked about it. This is a DK weight cotton, and so it's a little warmer than I thought it would be. I actually got a little toasty when we were shopping. I mean, but for those of you that are shoppers, you know, like when you're trying stuff on, you're gonna get a little bit warm already. Like I sweat like a fiend, so I don't know that I can blame it entirely on the weight of the cotton. But anyway, it was a blast and a breeze, and I really enjoy that. It's my first garment, so I definitely am gonna take away some things. For instance, I think the pattern recommended going down a needle size for the ribbing, and I definitely did not do that, but will do that in the future, because as you can, I don't know if you can tell, but it just kind of puffs out. And I made the sleeves a little bit short, and so it just kind of isn't the cleanest of lines that you would want. So that's the main thing. This pattern was very well done, super easy to read. I think my only qualm about it is the size inclusivity. Like, I knit the extra large, but I'm not like an extra large human, you know? I'm pretty well endowed in what I call my chesticle region. And so I think that's kind of where I was going off of. Obviously that's where you go off of for your measurements for a sweater or a shirt. But I just think, you know, I'm about a 40-inch bust. I think, I don't remember what the extra large was, but it wasn't a ton of positive ease for me in the bust. Like, it's a good amount of positive ease in the rest of the shirt. But there are so many different sizes of people, and I just wish that there were more sizes. Like, it has a good number, but I just wish that there were more. That's all for that. That's my only finished object. I was really hoping to have NYX vanilla socks done. This is my half finished object that I showed you guys last time in the Yarn Less Traveled 757 Alluvium and the Farmer's Daughter 100% Superwash Merino Eagle Eye for contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. I didn't work on it all until yesterday, and I was like, oh, I really wanted to finish this by the podcast. But I did, I put down my dirty lace, which I'll show you in just a minute, and we're just getting right into whips. I did get a good little bit on the leg started. So if I look at it, I didn't measure it yet, I need to, but if I'm looking at it, I really don't, I'm almost done with the leg, you guys. That's awesome. I think maybe an inch, half an inch, and then I can start on the heel flap and gusset, which is what I did for this. I would really like to try fish lips kiss on him. I did a fish lips kiss heel on my first pair of socks, which I showed you in the last episode, and even though the socks are horrendous because they don't fit at all, it's not because of the heel, it's because of everything else I did wrong, which I talked about last time. But I also want to show you this little guy. Oh, hello. That's my little progress keeper that I made, you guys. I mean, it's not like crazy, but I got the little, it's like a paper tassel I got from Michael's, and I just put it on a little bulb safety pin, and it's so cute. And I have like a whole set, so I'm gonna make them. I'm gonna make a few, and if I, can get in a good place with subscribers, I would love to at one point do a giveaway. So I think I'll save some of those for a giveaway. But yeah, I was so excited. I was in Joann Fabrics the other day with my mom, and I was just like, I was looking at all of the muslins and all of the fabrics and all of the charms, and I was like, I could do so many things. I definitely have a problem with like seeing something small and then turning it into this big thing and then not getting from point A to point D. But I just had so many like cool ideas of things that I want to do with what I saw in there, and this was one of them. And I have a bunch of, this bulb pin is from a shirt that I purchased. So I have some really of the same size in my Amazon cart. I think it's like, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 pins you get for like $10. So I'm gonna do that. I'd like to start making some progress keepers. I mentioned in my last podcast that I have an Etsy shop. I just haven't done anything with it. And I think that this is something fun that and easy that I could do to put in my shop because I love cruising Etsy for progress keepers. And I just think it's so much fun. Like, look, this is where I started, or this is where I was last week. And look how much I did. And it just makes me feel so good about that. So yeah, that's that whip. My son has discovered a little spindle guy and loves it, which is great, except for that it gets my yarn kind of stuck sometimes, and then he gets frustrated. Anyway, I'm hoping to have enough yarn left over because it's so beautiful to do some socks for myself. I might do the opposite. I might do like the eagle eye with this as contrasting heels and toes, probably not a cuff. Just because it might be a little bit much with the variegation. But yeah. And next whip, and I think this is the only other whip I'm going to show you because I really haven't worked on my float or my Nomadic Yarns stripe socks at all. So it's really no point in showing you guys the same thing over and over again. But this I've made a good amount of progress on. Is this the right side? Wait, here, my progress keeper. You guys! Oh my gosh, I love it. This is my dirt. I don't know if you can hear my son, but he's refusing to nap. Probably because I'm yelling and be like, you guys, hello. But this is my dirty lace shawl. I'll show you the pattern. It's all crinkled up because I've been throwing it in my bag, by Truly Myrtle. You know, I was watching the Jacqueline Salem. She's Jacqueline Salem on like all the social media, but she used to be the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. And I'm watching her from the beginning, and I think I'm like on episode 20 or 25, something like that. And she was talking about a progress knit versus a process knit versus a product knit. And this for me is definitely a process knit. It's so fun to see as I'm making it. And it's really cool. I messed up a couple times in there, but it's really cool just to see that the colors come together. This is gotta be my 3 favorite colorways I've ever done. I'm gonna see if I can pull you guys in. Sorry, hold on. See if this lighting will get a little bit better. We're in like an early / mid-morning, so the light through my trees is like not great. Anyway, it was great when I think I started. So this right here is can you see that? How well can you see that? Whatever. Sweet Disposition by Stress Knits Yarn. And you can't really see a ton of contrast, which I didn't know would happen until I did it, but this is actually striped Sweet Disposition and Pistachio Cream by So Happy Jane. This is a better view of the Pistachio Cream, striped with Movie Night, and Movie Night is that beautiful purple by So Happy Jane. And I just love it. You know, so when I ordered the Stress Knits, the Sweet Disposition, which is this gorgeous, like peachy pink with tons of speckles, I wasn't a big fan of the blue. I initially ordered it because I'd been watching Stacey Elstone's podcast, and it had kind of evolved Sweet Disposition into this like just peachy pink with speckles, but I think that the blue wasn't there for a while. And then when I ordered it, I ordered it, and then I saw a podcast the next like day after I ordered it. And it was like, of course I start things from the beginning and go to the end. And so I'm like, the podcast I watched was from a year ago, but she was saying that she was going back to her original dye recipe for Sweet Disposition, and that included the blue. And I was like, oh, I don't really like the blue. But you guys, that's actually my favorite part now that I've been knitting with it, because you just look forward to it. Like, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I can't wait. Like with the So Happy Jane, you can't really see it. Let me see if I can pull it out. You can't really see it on there yet, but they're like flecks of dark purple or flecks of red that I get really excited for when I pull them up. My favorite thing to do, let me see if I can do it on here if you'll see it. I'm in like a funky part of it, so the stitches aren't staying super straight. My favorite thing to do with a pretty well speckled or variegated yarn is to pull the stitches together. I hope you can see that. And see the colors come together, you guys. And they're so beautiful. So I just am realizing that I can't entirely trust myself, and I should trust the dyer. So that is my dirty lace. It's really fun. The level of difficulty says like a 2 out of 5, and I would agree with that. You know, this is one of those though that I had to knit, rip before getting to a good place where I haven't had to rip back anything from this particular version of the dirty lace, but I haven't completed it yet. So if you guys are interested in doing it and you're having trouble, please comment below and I will definitely get back to you. And I don't have any like specific tips or tricks except for to count your stitches when you're doing them. So for instance, there's a section where you've got a repeat, and it's a pretty long repeat. You know, it starts with a yarn over and it ends with a yarn over, and you've got several different stitches from like knit ones to slip knit to knit two togethers. And so that section I have found will leave you with, I think 11 or 13 stitches in that repeat. And so I go back when I'm done with the repeat, I count and I make sure that I'm on par. And then I count at the end of the row to make sure, because this is, you should always have like 140 or 141 stitches, and it says it at the beginning of the pattern. And when I was first doing it, the first 2 or 3 times, I didn't do that. I just went out on business, and that just is not smart, you guys. Like, it's better to work on the front end so that you don't have to rip it out and start again. And I'm just now getting this. And I think it's because I love the colors I've chosen so much. This is my very favorite color combination I've ever chosen, which is weird because I mean, like, I wear like black and gray all the time with maybe like a pop on my headband or something. And it's like a lot of color, but I love it. And so I'm working really hard. And that was another thing that I saw on one of Jacqueline Salem's podcasts. She was making her first ride back dress. She hadn't made a garment in a long time. And she was talking about all of the work she did on the front end of measuring and pinning and cutting, and how much easier it made things for her finished product, and how everything lined up the way it was supposed to. And so something just clicked, and so I'm doing that. This is the only one that I'm doing that for right now, but I did that for my dotted rays. I did that for not really my anchor, because it's not as much about the stitch count. It's a really simple pattern, but for the dotted rays, they have stitch counts at the end of the rows. So I definitely would just suggest taking that into consideration and just trying to, I know it gets tedious. I know that it's like, I gotta count 141 stitches every single time I finish a row, but I would really just suggest, honestly, when you're doing your lace rows, there are other rows where you're pretty much knitting across, so, to get the garter in between the lace that you're creating. Those you don't really have to do that on, but it does help sometimes, because like there are increases and decreases on those even, and it just kind of becomes second nature. And it's like when you think, did I lock my house? Like, did I lock the door? Did I turn off my straightener? Like, you forget because it's just second nature. So it's always good to go back and check that stuff out. And this is my beautiful project bag that my husband got me for Mother's Day, and I love it. It's Rifle Paper Company on the outside, but it's from a different Etsy shop. I linked it in the last one. I'm probably not gonna link it again because I don't feel like, I think if you guys watch the last one, or if you're interested, you'll go back and you can just look in the show notes, which are in the down bar. And I try to make it as detailed as possible, so let me know if that's helpful, because it does take quite a bit of work. All right, that's my whips. That's what I'm working on right now. I'm really trying to kind of have tunnel vision and focus on those 2 right now, so I can actually get some finished products. Mainly because I really want to cast on a couple pairs of socks, one for myself and then one for my mom. And my mom was very adamant, like, do not start this pair of socks for me until you finish the ones for your husband that you were supposed to give to him 2 months ago for his birthday. So, all right, Mom, I would do that. But I do want to talk a little bit about some upcoming, and I want to get your opinion on something. I said it in my intro video to this channel. I'm really looking for community. So I'm going to be asking, and I hope that you guys comment back. I hope you answer, because that's the whole point. I just want to find some community. So, okay. So I'm going to be doing the Andrea Mowry knit along for the Flicker and Flame hat, which I will try to insert a picture of. I'm really excited. I got my pattern. It starts next weekend. So I want to say over Memorial Day weekend. And it goes for 4 days. And there are two different weights. There is a worsted weight and a sport weight. I actually don't ever really buy worsted weight yarn. I think mainly because I live in a very hot climate and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me, but I do have some sport yarn. So I bought this yarn. I don't remember if I mentioned this on my last podcast, but I bought this yarn when my dad was very sick with cancer, and he asked me to knit him a scarf for his funeral. I'm gonna try really hard not to get emotional about it. I've talked quite a bit about it to my like local yarn shop, so that they could help me figure out what to make with it, because I just couldn't bring myself to do that. I was just such a painful time for me. I was very close to him. So anyway, I have this yarn and it's very special to me. He loved red. It is the Neighborhood Fiber Company. The colorway is North. It's like a very true, almost like a cherry red, like very true. It's got a halo to it because my husband and I rolled the ball ourselves, and it was my first time doing that, and so it got a little complicated, got quite a few knots in it, and so there was quite a bit of working the yarn so that it didn't have this halo at the beginning, I don't think. Anyway, and red's not really, like a bright red's not really my jam. I'm more into like and this is super faded, which is why it's so light, but I'm more into like a garnet type thing. But when Wild Hand, which is this awesome yarn shop in Pennsylvania, had their local yarn shop day, I snagged this gorgeous, I want you to be able to see the like ins and outs of it, this gorgeous spin cycle. I have never used spin cycle. It is a sport weight. It's very thin though. It looks almost like fingering. Dyed in the wool in wildflower, and it's like you see the pinks, but the reason why I got it is because it does have these reds in it as you get deeper into it. And so I'm going to pair these two together. It just is so awesome because, I mean, Spin Cycle is a go-to for Andrea Mallory, so I was really lucky to already have these, and I wanted to make a hat with them, and I'd been looking for a hat that would do well with a Spin Cycle as the contrasting color. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm very excited about it. I mean, again, I don't know why I'm picking bright colors, but I guess it's just a hat. Like, I'm just going to wear it when it's cold. I'm going to Connecticut in the fall for a bachelorette party. We're just going to go to a bunch of wineries. It's going to be great. We're going to be in the city for a day, in New York City for a day. And so I'm really excited to wear it because our fall doesn't exist. So anyway, that's an upcoming. My next upcoming knit that I'm going to cast on, because I know it's going to take me a while. Well, I don't know this because like I said, I don't generally work with worsted weight yarn, is the Weekender. I've had this pattern forever, and I was too intimidated to do it, and really worried about the cost of the yarn. This was before I discovered KnitPicks. Thank you, Stacy Elstone. She did a really great video on like yarn substitutions, and really like gave me validation to not have to use indie dyed yarn for everything. Like, I just can't afford to make a Weekender out of indie dyed yarn. It's not on my budget right now, man. I mean, like, I am, just not in that place. So after I made my Anker, which I got all of that on sale at local yarn shop day, so I basically paid for one skein of the We Are the Knitters, I think. Yeah, I want to say it's generally like, I don't know, $18. And I think I got them for like way less than that. Sorry, I bumped you. Ooh, let's see if this is okay. Anyway, so I was like, well, I don't mind making this garment out of this yarn because I didn't pay a ton for it, and if I mess it up, it's not a big deal. Which if you mess it up anyway, it's not a big deal. We can always frog things, we can always rip them back. But anyway, that video was so helpful. I will link it in the show notes. It just was like probably one of my favorite ones that she's done because, I feel like sometimes when you start getting into the indie dyed yarn, you can become a yarn snob. It's such an easy thing to fall into, and it definitely happened to me. And I didn't know that there was a difference between like Michael's, Joann's acrylic yarn, Hobby Lobby acrylic yarn, I didn't know there was an in-between between that and indie dyed yarn. I was like, oh, there's one or the other. Like you either pay like $2 for a scratchy ball of acrylic yarn, or even a really soft ball of acrylic yarn, because I have some acrylic yarn that's super soft, or you pay like $30 to $50 for a skein of beautiful, but you know, I can't make a sweater out of that yarn. I can't make a sweater out of one. I am not a child. I can't make a sweater out of one skein. Anyway, that's a tangent city. Man, we've already been doing this for 30 minutes. I told myself I was gonna make this much shorter than the last one, so I'm gonna keep it moving. So yes, I think I'm gonna do this in a KnitPicks, in the Andes tweed. I've never done anything with tweed, and I think it could be cool. This has got this marled effect to it. I'm like not super, it's not that I'm not into the marled, but I think I would really like to see it in the tweed. So I think I'm gonna do it in like a dark, I wanna say the colorway is Oblivion. But I'm excited about that. I'm gonna order that yarn here in the next couple weeks and get that on the needles. Those are my upcoming. I do want to show you a couple of acquisitions and then get into recommendations for other creative things, because this podcast is not just about knitting as much as it's going to be a big focus. I've got lots of creative avenues in my life, and I would like to share those, but I gotta get my show notes off of this. This is my new yarn box. Isn't it beautiful? It's huge. It's huge, and I love it. And my mom and I were in Joann Fabrics the other day, and I needed a new box. I had gotten a decent sized box at like a Marshall's, but I've been buying yarn, and so my stash is growing, and the lid was breaking. So I needed something new, and I had picked up this like really floral print with like words on it, but I just wasn't a big fan of it. And my mom found this, and she goes, "That is so you." And she couldn't have been more right, because, where is it? When I got home, I just want to show you this side by side. When I got home, I put my purse on it. Do you guys see that? It's the same, oh no, my yarn is falling out. It is the same exact color palette. My yarn just kind of started to come out. Oh man, you guys. Okay, hold on. Brief pause, except for I'm not pausing you. I'm just gonna keep on chit-chatting away so that I can talk to you about what I left out one upcoming cast on, and it's because I'm not gonna cast it on. I have so many things. I'm not gonna cast it on until I am done with my dirty lace, because this particular pattern I've heard is a beast in terms of like, it's so long that you just kind of like, it does kind of dredge along for a little bit, and that but the finished product everybody absolutely loves. So that is the Birds of a Feather. I don't have the pattern in front of me, by Andrea Mowry, but I will, if I can learn how to do these pictures that I keep telling you I'm gonna do, I'll throw a picture in. But now that all my yarn fell out, I need to find my color combination. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it calls for two colors. It calls for a fingering and a mohair. However, I just searched on Ravelry under the patterns. If you are not super familiar with Ravelry, I'm just getting familiar with it myself. But if you find a designer and you find a pattern of theirs that you like, there's a tab above that where you'll see like projects, patterns, all of that. And I think you can hit, I think it's projects, and it's where people have uploaded their projects and their color combinations. And that has been so helpful to me, because I really want to do love Stephen West patterns, but Stephen West loves a lot of color, and that's not my bag. So I've been looking on that, and I found that some people with the Andrea Mowry Birds of a Feather pattern it's got like a garter, a lace, and then the mohair section. So the fingering does the garter and the lace, but those are two separate sections. And some people did a really pretty tonal in the garter and a gorgeous speckle in the lace. Now, both of these ones that I'm going to use are tonals, but they're friends, but they're not, I don't think they're family. They're more friends than family. So we've got this Stress Knits on her favorite space, and it is in the colorway Dusk. It is this gorgeous mauve with like purple undertones to it. Ugh, I love it. And then same base favorite, which is the 80/20 superwash nylon. And it's got some similar tones, but this is the Christmas wrapping colorway. So she's notorious for loving like peachy pinks and mints, and it's got some of those, and also some of this like slate. I think it's such a fun, and it's close enough and far away enough that I think it will stand out. And then I picked this mohair I got. It's, I can't read the Ariel, Barocco. I'm not really sure. It's tea rose, and it's 65% mohair, 35% silk. And it's a little bit pinkier than these, but the mohair is so thin that I think that the color will fade enough to, look at that, it's so thin. I think that the color will fade enough to fit well with these. That's my hope anyway, because I bought 3 skeins of it. So yeah, there's that. I also I went crazy on stress knits. She was getting ready to close up shop for a couple months while she worked on her advent calendars, which I also got, which I'm really excited about. It's my first advent calendar ever. And so I was just trying to get as much as I could from her before she closed. Oh, I hate this. The sun is like shifting. Note to self, I probably won't do this here again. But this is her apricot colorway. Same favorite space. I'm thinking of doing like a brioche with my other skein of So Happy Jane pistachio cream. And I think that could be fun because it just has flecks that have some of this. And I think they're different enough that the brioche would be really pretty. Also, thanks to Jacqueline Salem, I found out that if you're not supposed to cake up your skeins until like you're about to use them because it stretches out the yarn. And I wish I'd known that because it's been caked for a while. I have other yarns that have been caked for like a long time, like a year. So if you guys know anything about that, let me know. Like, yay, nay, ways to avoid hurting your yarn because I don't want to hurt my yarn. Okay. I'm wondering if there's anything else. I don't remember if I showed you this last time. This is my Storybooks Southern Storytime 100 Acre Wood yarn that I will be making into a sweater for my son. I bought my second skein and it's so cute. It came with this little, I'm pretty sure I showed you guys that last time, but I'm really excited about it. Nick and I picked out the pattern. I've got this Knit a Little book, which has like little kid sweaters and hats and mittens and things like that. And yeah, I put in like an essential oil packet. It's like has lavender flowers and things like that. And I just kind of stuck it in with my yarn. And actually, here it is. So it doesn't hurt the yarn at all, but it makes it smell great. And I'm pretty sure I showed this last time too. I don't know. I'll start rewatching my podcast and like tell myself what not to say. But it's a relaxing blend of lavender jasmine and an amber musk base. It smells great. So there's that. Those are my acquisitions and my upcomings. Okay, now we can just dive into recommendations and then we will wrap up and be done. Okay, recommendations. So like I said, this is a creative podcast. I would have called it something knitting if it was just for knitting. But I love listening to music, reading books. I'm really bad at drawing, but I'm trying to learn. Same with painting. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. So the first podcast, obviously, that I talked about was the My Favorite Murder podcast, which is my shirt is based on. They're great. And actually, I have a book that kind of goes along with that. So I'm going to grab my books. I didn't have enough room. You should see my setup. It's kind of crazy. But Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered. I'm very anti-book jacket. I don't really see the point of them. I know they're supposed to protect the book, but I just get them all like janky and gross, and so I just take them off. I got this for my birthday or Christmas a few years ago when it came out, and I'm like only maybe a quarter of the way in. It sits on the back of my toilet, so when I'm like getting ready for a bath, like my water's running or I'm in the bath, I can just kind of pick it up and read it. These ladies are so funny. It's Georgia Hardstark and Karen Kilgariff. They're hilarious and also super honest and just like you want to be their friend. So this is a great book. I would definitely recommend it. I'm reading it, so I'm not done, but that's on my recommendations. Also sitting in my toilet basket is We Were the Lucky Ones. I'm also almost halfway through this, and it's based on a true story. It follows a family that were a Polish family in the 30s, entering the 40s in World War II. It's scary at times, but it is a true story. There's somebody that had to tell the story. It's not like an Anne Frank style where everybody dies and you just got, it's like, there's hope at the end, is what I have to say. Not that I know, but it was a book club. I'm in a book club and all my friends read it, and so they said there's hope at the end. So that's We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter. It's a great read. And to round out the knitting, slow knitting, I recommended this book actually to Cadence Kidwell with Fuzzy Goat Yarns in Thomasville, Georgia, to carry in her shop because she's always looking for books. This is great. It's Slow Knitting, A Journey from Sheep to Skein to Stitch, Hannah Thiessen. I believe that's how you say her name, Hannah Thiessen. And it's awesome. Like it's broken up into different, different topics. So chapter 1 is like source carefully. So it'll go over thoughts and reflections on that topic. Then it will have a mill or a yarn company that it recommends and tells you kind of the history behind. And then it'll have a pattern in it. So some chapters have more patterns than others. I got it at TJ Maxx. I was in their clearance section and I was like, okay. I don't think it was on clearance, but it was just kind of shoved in there. It's a nice, like, slow, meditative read if you are looking for something so that you can, it's helping me better understand, like the sourcing process and why it's important to understand where your yarn comes from, and all of that. So I am enjoying that right now. Also, books, I am reading Mexican Gothic. It's my book club. I need to finish it because I recommended it, and my book club is next week. And then I finished Broken Horses by Brandi Carlile. I don't remember if I spoke about that last time, but I listened to it on audiobook and I highly recommend that. I love doing that with biographies and autobiographies because oftentimes the subject of the book is the one reading. And it's just it's great to hear it from the horse's mouth. She's got a very smooth, like, relaxing voice, and then she sings to you throughout, so that's cool. Okay, also going back to podcasts. So My Favorite Murder, yes. My other three favorite true crime podcasts right now are Small Town Murder. It's basically My Favorite Murder with two guys, and they're hilarious. They go over, like, they pick a small town that a murder has occurred in, and they go over, like, that town so you understand the demographics and how big it is, and what their political affiliations are, what real estate looks like there, so you can, like, feel like you're in that town. And then they go into the murder. It's really funny and hilarious. Those are the same thing, Elena. Okay. Also, Wine and Crime. That's three friends that are separated across internationally, actually, that pair a crime subject with a wine that they go over. Lucy goes over the background, and then Kenyon and Amanda each have a crime that's related to that topic. And then the last one is Sword and Scale. This one's much darker. There's no comedy piece to it. It's much more like a deep dive into, like, the darkness of humanity. So there's that. Also knitting podcast, the Expat podcast, Mina with the Expat podcast. I just started watching her. She's so soothing and sweet, and I'm just really enjoying that. So I will link her below. I think I linked Stacy and Jacqueline last time, so I will definitely link Mina. That is all for those. And then finally, I want to do my music recommendations because I've been listening to my records a lot this week. When my son, who is, oh no, I lied. I have some kids' books. And then promise, I've got a toddler, and when he is really struggling and throwing a fit, one of the things that I found work really well is if he helps me change out a record. So I'll go over that with you. But I want to talk about two of his favorite books right now. So this is book jackets that I pulled off because he's gonna rip them, and I would rip them anyway. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about book jackets. This is All Are Welcome, and actually I pulled this one off because it's a poster on the inside, and I'm gonna flatten it and put it in a frame for him because he loves this book so much. This is All Are Welcome. It is by Alexandra Penfold and Suzanne Kaufman. I love the dedication is to teachers and people who make it possible for children to feel good and safe and accepted in schools. There's a part in the book that says something like, in our classroom, fears are lost and hope is found. And that part always almost makes me cry because of all of the violence that we see here in America in classrooms. And I really hope one day that, I hope that my children never have to worry the way that our children here in America currently do when they go to school, that, something violent and dangerous is going to happen to them. But it's beautiful. It has such great representation. I'll show you the back too. So of all different kinds of children. It has, there's one in particular that I like. There's a blind child, and my stepfather, his oldest granddaughter or second oldest granddaughter, is blind. And so I think that's really cool because that's not often, frequently we do think of people with different abilities, but we don't often think of visual disabilities when we're teaching our kids about that kind of thing. So I think it's really cool. Great pictures, great rhymes really well. The next one that he loves is the Franklin and Luna and the Book of Fairy Tales by Jen Campbell. The illustration is by Katie Harnett, and this is one of my favorite books in terms of illustration. The story is good, it's nice, it kind of rhymes, but I think what drew me to purchasing this book was definitely the illustrations, and he loves it. He didn't like it at first, but now that's all he wants to read. And so there are several Franklin and Luna books that I will definitely be purchasing. Actually, when I go out of town this weekend for work, I will be heading to my favorite independent bookstore and picking up maybe a few. That's where I got that one. Okay, now on to my records, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so right now what I've been listening to quite a bit is Bon Iver's For Emma Forever Ago. I love this album. It's soft and soothing. Some would call depressing, but there's nothing like Bon Iver. I mean, it's just, I find it to be meditative and just like soothing to my soul and easy for my soul to take in. I can read to this music. I can clean to this music. It helps to calm my son down a lot, so that's helpful. And then one of my favorite albums of all time is Death Cab for Cutie, and it was playing in the beginning. I'm not sure if you could hear it. Plans. I Will Follow You Into the Dark, which was the first song that was playing because I play side B first, is one of my all-time favorite songs. Love this album. So let me take a look at my show notes. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all that I wanted to talk about. I was trying to keep it under 45 minutes, and I think I hit 49. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me if you're still here. Thank you for my past viewers and my new viewers who watch this. Like I said, comment below, like, subscribe, all those things. And farewell, friends. See you next week.